Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fifth Quarter Sportscast. I'm Jared Judy, here with Todd Corley as usual. Let's not even waste any time. We got some stuff to dive into. It's coming up on Thanksgiving football, so without wasting any time, let's jump right in. Let's go through the couple highlight games here, and then we can get into some studs and duds because there was plenty to pick from. So, I don't really want to talk about it because it's a dumpster, but we can just say it was pretty boring, the Packers-Titans game on Thursday, Week 11 action. It was disgusting. It's about all I have to say. I'm sure you did. That's about all I have to say for that. It's just they're not any good. They're just
no. Let's talk about it, Jared. Let's talk about Traylon Burks. It wasn't Christian Watson yesterday's toast of the town. Where was he at?
Well, hey,
that's what I thought.
I wish that I had Traylon Burks on my starting roster. I'll just put it that way. It would have been nice to have him in my fantasy roster, considering he's been occupying my IR slot all year. Yeah, to be honest, I expected it to be a bigger burial with Derrick Henry, but yeah, the Packers are trash. They're just awful this year.
Well, they sure couldn't stop Austin Hooper. That's for sure.
They made him look like George Kittle.
He was a poor man's Travis Kelce on last Thursday. It was nice.
Yeah, essentially. But with that dumpster out of the way, let's move to yet another one. So the Eagles, I'm not sure if they were just posers or what the deal is, but they barely squeaked out a win against this, I don't even know what you want to classify them as, disgusting, embarrassing, inept Indianapolis Colts team. All the above, maybe. I don't know.
There's a couple different ways to look at this one, kid.
Yeah, they had a shot to pull the win out. It was, maybe 4th and goal at the 10 or 12 or something like that at the end of the game, and they had a hole cleared out at that last play that parted more than the Red Sea, and Jalen Hurts just basically stepped right up through it. It's kind of hard to, win games when you play like that, but they hang on and they win 17-16.
I went fishing in the Wet Sea once.
The Wet Sea?
Marlin.
What?
I was hunting for Marlin.
But
there's a couple different ways to look at that. I know Wilbon and Kornheiser were talking about the Eagles being the most telling win, like the most important win. We, as a social media juggernaut that we are, put out our post, our little poll earlier today as of recording on what was the most important win, the biggest win of the week. And I sat there for longer than it takes me to polish off a winter warmer.
It's about 5 seconds.
From Brew Kettle. Yeah, I sat there for probably 15 seconds, maybe longer, probably 2 or 3 minutes, thinking about it. I don't know. Part of me wanted to take the Philly over Indy. I couldn't do it. I didn't do it.
See, I think that I feel like it was misworded after I posted it, and I don't know. Look at it.
I think you did
because
a good job.
The biggest win. So the poll was the biggest win of the week. It was
most important win, I guess, or most telling.
Yeah, I had biggest win of the week, which now that I go back and think about it, I should have probably put most important win of the week or something along those lines.
I like biggest because you can be literal, in which case it could be Cowboys over the Vikings.
Well, and as soon as I worded it that way, I'm like, everyone's going to pick the Cowboys game because that was the biggest point differential, but that's not the most important win. I don't feel like of the week.
But okay, this is where I could play devil. Yeah, I don't know, devil's advocate.
Because if you look at it, the Eagles-Colts, obviously the Eagles have to win that because the Cowboys are right behind them on their heels, so they have to win that. But then the Patriots-Jets, that thing was just a debacle from the beginning, and we'll talk about that in a little bit later.
Which was also huge. That was a big one, though. Also,
exactly. But the Lions, another NFC North bottom feeder, knocking off one of the top NFC East teams, which is also in the the fight for that division. So
trust me, I've already got my Giants 2023 Super Bowl tattoo. I've already got it. It's on my calf. I'm not going to show you right now because we're an audio podcast.
Is it Eli Manning?
No, I got Chad Powers on my right calf. But we got that honest to God, all 4 of those choices, I could make an argument for every single one of those games being the biggest win of the week.
Well, and the teams that won all really had to win. They did, and it helped in their division ranking because all of those basically helped either even out or keep them just a few games or one game ahead of the next closest team. So they had to have won them. But then when you look at the flip side, had they lost, it definitely could have been I don't want to say a make or break point in the season, but it could easily have playoff implications because just for example, if you look at the Giants losing and if the Cowboys won or the Giants lost and the Cowboys lost, that head-to-head means even more for that division race.
I still take the NFC East against any other division in the NFL.
I mean, it sure seems that way. It sure seems that way. But yeah, since we're on the poll though, and we're kind of talking about the Eagles, the Eagles squeak out that win 17-16. I mean,
for me, that game told me two things. One, the Eagles aren't as good as people once thought they were. They did finish.
That's what I was going to ask. That's what I was going to ask.
I don't think they're as good as people think they are.
So then does that mean, the way I look at that is, are they just basically now teams are catching up to them and figuring them out, or was their early season schedule just trash and they were steamrolling everybody?
That's absolutely part of it. That's absolutely part of it. The other side of that coin, though, is the Colts. Matt Ryan, Saturday, Jonathan Taylor. The Colts are not that bad. There's two sides to it, man. Honestly, at the end of the day, the Eagles got the W.
Well, and I kind of look at the Colts in the same lens, unfortunately, as the Packers. When Jonathan Taylor has 20, 25 plus catches, they win. When he doesn't, they lose. So when you look at that game, every game that they've lost that's been close, Taylor wasn't involved. Last week, he had 20 plus touches and they won. Packers, same thing. When you're not giving your playmakers, Jones, Dillon, you're not giving these guys touches. Minnesota, Justin Jefferson. You're not giving those guys their targets. You're paying these guys for a reason. Get the ball in your playmakers' hands. That's kind of what I took from that. And God knows, unfortunately, I've had Jonathan Taylor for 2 years now, and I've heard that echoed more times than I can count. Why are we not using him? Why are we not using him? All the way back to when it was Carson Wentz, and he was throwing the ball all over the goddamn place.
I mean, he had, in that game, Jonathan Taylor, 25 touches, and they still lost. It was close against everybody was singing Philadelphia's praises up until, a week ago. So everybody's all about the Eagles. So the Colts are doing something right. Saturday, I think he's out there doing knuckle push-ups in pregame. He's got the guys amped up, man. I'm telling you, I think it's twofold. I swear the Eagles aren't as good as people think. Colts are better than people give them credit.
And the two things I took from that as well is, A, Indy's defense is either really, really good and they're not getting credit. Because
they are good.
If Philly's offense is that phenomenal, Indy's defense just held them to 17. Yeah. And two, if Philly's defense is that phenomenal, you have this record-wise trash Indianapolis team that darn near almost won the game, putting points up on you. So, I mean, I don't know which is which or if it's a combination of both, but I'm starting to feel better in the sense that I didn't pick Philly to go far because I think eventually they're going to reveal who the team they really are, and they're going to trip up.
I think that could have been a wake-up game for Philly in the fact that they were able to squeak it out, and they did get the W.
Well, I mean, you look at it, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago? They got beat by Washington, and everybody was looking at preseason. At the beginning of the season, they were like, oh, my God, Washington's a dumpster. Washington's a dumpster. And then when they knocked off Philly, everyone was like, oh, my God, well, is Philly that bad or is Washington that good? And then when you see them barely hang, not even 20 points on Indy, which everyone was now seeing how Indy's panned out. Oh, Indy's awful. But then the team you crowned as the NFC champs barely beat them. So what's that say about them? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to think about them anymore. I'm starting to feel like the tide's turning for them.
It was a huge win. It was a huge win for them. The fact they didn't just lay down and they actually came together and actually got the W. I think maybe that's like that humbling experience is going to help them out down the road. But I don't count on Indy, man. I'll tell you right now.
Well,
they might end up retaining Jeff Saturday's services at the end of the year.
And those are the type of games, talking about, from Philly's perspective, those are the type games you have to win to go the distance in the postseason.
Yeah, those are exactly.
If you can't win those games, you're not going to last. No. Those are the games that catch you.
I don't know how many games you want Jalen Hurts as your leading rusher, though. But that's what it is.
Well, then again, Miles Sanders. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of him.
I'm not a Miles Sanders fan either, but dude's been doing it thus far.
Yeah.
Up until this week.
Well, it's the same thing as when you look at any of these other teams with running quarterbacks. Lamar, you have not as I was going to say not as much Mahomes. You have Fields. All it takes is one hit, and not only do you lose your number one passer, but then you lose your number one rusher.
Your whole team is
you
done.
basically lose the entire offense with one bad hit. Like, I don't know. But hey, it's hard to turn your back on the playmakers that are, getting you to where where you're at. But switching to a little bit different spectrum here, and we'll talk about
what's that different, baby. Throw some strange at me.
We'll talk about somebody that had some lightning, I guess, in their feet this week. Atlanta tops Chicago 27-24, and that's basically thanks to the record-setting return from Cordell Patterson, 103 yards. I didn't realize it, but I knew he was good. I knew he was, vital for a lot of returns, but that's his ninth.
Old as hell.
Well, yeah, but that's his ninth career return for a touchdown. I didn't realize he had 9.
Kickoff return, yep.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, but yeah, he set an NFL record, and because of that one play, they squeak out the win over the Bears.
I got some thoughts on that. It crushed me a little bit to see the previous record holders, plural, were Josh Cribbs, Kent State, Golden Flashes, respect, and Leon Washington from the Jet, longtime New York Jet. The thing with the kickoffs is,
I was kind of shocked Hester wasn't in there. I would have thought he would have been.
He has the most combined punts and kickoffs. He owns that record.
Oh, okay.
When you combine special team touchdowns, he's got it. But I've got a thought about that because, listen, they moved the kickoffs up so far that 99 times out of 100, the goddamn thing goes in the end zone anyway. It's whoever's going to pull it out.
And most of the time it goes through the uprights.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, they've done so much with it. The fact now is, I'll tell you right now, man, I'd be investing in those special teamers, and I'd be like, you know what? I don't give a damn if I'm 8 yards deep in my own end zone. None of these teams are used to covering kickoff returns anymore.
God knows Green Bay isn't, because A, we can't cover a kick, and B, we don't have anybody back there that can catch the ball with Amari Rodgers. Thank God he's gone.
Honest to God, so I watched it live, and the second I saw that man make a move out of the end zone, I'm like, dude, he's going. He's going. Nobody knows how to cover kickoffs, but because nobody ever does it anymore.
Well, and I feel like on those type of returns where you have a speedster back there, you really only need the first 1 or 2 blocks just to give them a little bit of clearance and open a hole. And then once you get that first or second block, if there's any sort of run lane down the sideline, they're gone. And no one's going to catch them because they're the fastest guy out of the 22 on the field.
Yeah, it's over.
Well, and then when you look at it, especially special teams, I'd say probably a good 70% of the time, they're all the incoming rookies. So let's be honest. If you just got drafted, you're not expecting to have to run down a Patterson 103-yard touchdown. You're probably thinking, holy shit, where the hell did that guy come from? Like, you're not expecting
I love it. I hope that it starts a trend. I hope where you get some of these other younger guys who are trying to make a name for themselves, take if God, for like you said, if it doesn't go through the uprights or out of into the third row of the stands on the kickoff, if you're actually able to catch it, bring it, baby. Go. Can you
imagine though if a rookie on the opposite side was trying to make a name for himself and ran down there and lit him up? Oh man, targeting. We would have seen flags left and right. Oh my God, he got killed. Ejections left. It would have been bad.
That would require these 23-year-old kids to be able to actually tackle using their arms instead of just a shoulder pad.
It's true.
They don't know how to do that either. So I would milk that for all it's worth.
But you know darn well if there's a good stop on somebody and somebody like an early career James Harrison comes in and just runs down the field and lays them out, it's going to be Flag City. And
you're a lot. Hey man, if you're bringing that ball out of that end zone, it's fair game. God, I wish.
The problem is no one
for a cryogenically frozen fucking James Harrison.
The problem is though with the way that those returners pick up speed so quick, they're never going to take a hit like that because they're not going to stand still long enough for somebody to pick up steam and get that angle on them. Chances.
Most of them are softer than baby shit anyway. They ain't bringing that out of the end zone if it is short enough.
Well, if they did, and at first sight of contact, they run out of bounds.
I'm just saying, from a football purist standpoint, I enjoyed the shit, even though he did break my boy Josh Cribbs' record. Leon Washington would give him some credit, but he broke Cribbs' record. But man, I tell you what, I was enjoying the hell out of that return. God, I watched it every time I could.
As a Packers fan, I enjoyed it just for the simple fact that the Bears lost. That was the only joy I got out of it. Because anytime the Bears lose by any reason, it's a win for me. So
they lost a little more in that ball game, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well,
somebody's left shoulder is not quite hanging on right now.
Well, not only that, you don't have any other option because God knows he struggles to throw the ball to any of the receivers as it is because he doesn't have the time. And when he does, the receivers usually don't catch it. And your run game is basically your quarterback. So I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, they're toast.
But speaking of Leon Washington and the Jets, let's break down that barn burner. How in God's name do you manage to hold the Patriots to 3-3, a 3-3 game, and then with just seconds left, you think, "Yep, let's punt it directly to the guy," and then you allow an 84-yard return for a touchdown to lose you the game as time expires? Like that play right there reminded me of the Deshaun Jackson Giants Philadelphia game.
Mm-hmm.
Where he drops the ball, picks it up, steps backwards, runs the other way, and then turns around and breaks off like a 70-some yard return for the game-winning touchdown. Like, I don't understand it. You have to be smarter. You have to have more common sense. Like, be more aware. There's just seconds on the clock. It's almost the same idea as a prevent defense. Just do not let them score. That's it. Because by the time they get down the field, they're not going to have time to get a field goal. As long as you keep them in bounds, the game's over. You go to overtime. But
yeah, I mean, I think I showed you in my notes. I had Jets doing Jets things.
Oh yeah,
this is the Jets, man. This is it.
Well, and it just drives me nuts because you see and I don't give two shits about the AFC or the AFC East or the Jets in general. I've never been a fan.
Both of those teams are 6-4. Christ, that whole division might make the playoffs.
But that's what I was going to say. You look at the games, I almost kind of feel like the Jets for the Jets, I feel like it was kind of a jump start. The week before they played Green Bay, Breece Hall was coming on hard, and he was just running over everybody. He had phenomenal team. And then it seems like halfway through the season now, all of a sudden they reverted back to the norm. And they're back to doing the same old stuff that they've always done, doing stupid shit. Like, I thought for a second the tides may have changed, and unfortunately they're right back to where they always are every year.
Don't ask Zach Wilson his opinion.
No. Do you feel like you let the defense down? No.
I hope somewhere he's still duct taped inside of his locker.
I
hope the defense. Oh my god!
Well, I know they said they're not starting him, or that everything's up for consideration at this point.
Committed to him, yeah.
Yeah. So then, who's the other option? Flacco? Do they even have anybody else? Stafford. Is Boomer available to come back?
Jesus.
Like.
Who jump at the chance to go back to New York? Said so far.
What's Sanchez? Speaking of head up the ass, what's Sanchez doing? Is he available? Like, I just don't.
It wouldn't be any worse.
I just don't understand like what their other options are at this point.
Tebow.
Yeah, we could do a podcast of running down all the dumpster previous Jets quarterbacks. God, we'd have a good hour worth of just that. Yeah, he fits into that mold.
And cover boy.
Yeah. But I think that kind of wraps up that. It boils down to the Jets being the Jets. Like, I mean, that's essentially what it is. Getting to more of the interesting game that I did actually watch majority of because I'm
surprised. Before we leave the Jets Patriots, officially, completely,
yeah.
I'm amazed that you didn't mention the block in the back.
Well,
the alleged controversial block in the back because There was actually a block, a more distinct block in the back at the beginning of that punt return that actually could have been called.
Correct. There were multiples that I've seen. I want to go back and look at the replays. And then it kind of reminds me of, when I coach my son's second and third grade flag team, where the play's on one side and the guy that's getting blocked in the back is absolutely nowhere near the play. Like, why are you blocking him in the back? It's not like that guy's going to make a play. So why are you even touching him? All you're going to do is potentially hurt your team. But yeah, the one that got called,
or that almost got called. It didn't, but everybody was up in arms about it. Are you talking about
basically the final block? Raise the guy across the goal line.
Yeah, the guy that wasn't going to tackle him.
No, he wouldn't have caught him. So there was no need to even touch the guy, regardless if it was a block in the side or a block in the back. That's the stupid shit that had that happened, you probably may not have cost your team the game because you potentially still would have had time to line up for a field goal. But why even do it? There's no reason for it. None. The guy wasn't going to make a play anyway.
But that was some soft shit too, though, because that little pussy who was giving chase, who wasn't going to catch him, did that bullshit where he turns his shoulder, he dips his shoulder, so he at the last second. That's the other thing that pissed me off. These guys are soft, man.
Well, and the thing is, it's the subjective calls. Like, I guarantee if that would have been a hit on, let's say, a Tom Brady who threw an interception, that would have been a flag. If that was a Pat Mahomes throwing an interception and he's running down to make the tackle and he gets kind of quote unquote blindsided from the side, that's going to be a flag. But then you have this one and you let it go. Like, I just don't. I'm saying
glad they let it go.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm not saying that they should have threw a flag or shouldn't have thrown a flag. But we both know in some games that would have been a flag with some crews.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with it not being a flag because I'm perfectly fine with 90% of the flags not being flags in the first place.
Yeah, because the crews that are running the Jets Patriots in 2022 aren't the A team or B. Yeah, they don't give a good goddamn.
I don't even think they're the C team. They're not even the C team at that point.
No, they're trash. It's fine.
Yeah.
That game was trash. It was fitting.
Yeah.
There goes Cordero on my NFL Red Zone replay.
Nah, he's still running.
Look at him in his glory.
But to go to a little bit better, I don't want to say of a better, more competitive game, but teams that at least potentially have a chance at postseason. Minnesota and Dallas, I couldn't have been more shocked by this game. And just from the sole fact of seeing how Minnesota's been running through people and how Dallas did pretty good without Dak and then came back and still have been playing pretty good. But then seeing how bad they played against Green Bay, and Green Bay's a bad team, and then see them just steamroll, just railroad right over top of Minnesota, just completely caught me off guard. Like, that game could have been called for the mercy rule by halftime. They could be like, we're not even going to come out the second half. Like, I've never seen something so lopsided between two quote-unquote premier teams projected to go postseason. I've never seen that big of
biggest road win in Dallas Cowboys franchise history.
I mean,
it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
I was just
that was poetry.
Because you look at it last week, like I said, when they played Green Bay, I'm like, they didn't play like this at all. And I know Minnesota is a far superior team as far as talent, player to player, to Green Bay. So what happened? If you did that to Minnesota, you should have been rolling over Green Bay. So what happened? Like, it looked like two different teams, two completely different teams, 2 different weeks.
This was also a game that was in the poll. And full disclosure, it's the game that I picked because I feel like it further showcased the NFC East and the Cowboys of what they can do when they've got Dak. Pollard, in my opinion, is 1A. Zeke at this point is 1B. I think he's been supplanted as the number one running back there. CeeDee Lamb's a beast. That Parsons, Michael from last week's episode, you son of a bitch. Yeah. Micah Parsons is an absolute freak. That dude is next level, man. Diggs on defense is holding Justin Jefferson's arms on passes. He's getting away with it. It's fantastic. Hey, he didn't get flagged, no foul. It's fantastic. Dude, the Cowboys are legit.
See, that's what I see. I had a few takes on this. I was thinking the same thoughts as what I thought for the Philadelphia Indy game. Like, is Minnesota just, I don't want to say pretender,
pretender or contender? They're in the fucking weakest. Pardon me, the kids are in bed. They're in the weakest division. The
Absolutely.
NFC North is absolutely abysmal.
Well, I mean, you look at it between Detroit, Green Bay, and Chicago. You have maybe 6 to 8 wins between the 3 teams combined. Terrible. So, I mean, that reminds me of the year when the NFC West held a playoff game with a losing record. Like, that's what the NFC North, unfortunately, it has come to. So, you're the best of the worst. So, whatever. But just the way that Justin Jefferson has been running over people, running right by, like, they've just looked so much superior. And then when you come up against Dallas, it's like, are you really? Or again, did you just have a really weak schedule up until this point? And this is the first real team. I mean, I don't know.
It's for me, a lot of it, I believe. The Vikings defense just did not show up. Kirk Cousins wasn't playing defense.
Neither did their offense didn't either.
No, Kirk Cousins looks old as hell, or at least in this game he did.
Did you see on the locker room walk out to the car? Was he wearing chains? I didn't see if he was or not this time. I didn't. I
think, the ball and chain around his ankles.
Yeah, I didn't see him. I was seeing him all over social media the past few weeks, but I don't know if he just left him in his locker this time or what.
How the hell you get beat by 37 points at home? Jesus Christ.
I don't even remember. What was the spread on that game? I don't even remember.
Betting info. Wow. Well, actually, the Vikings were dogs. They were 2.5 point dogs.
Yeah, but 2.5. Not 37
at home. There is not a team that's getting paid. Well, they're all getting paid in college and pro now, but there is no pro team in any circumstance that should get beaten at home by 37 points.
Now that's when you look at betting odds Saturday mornings. That you see that sometimes for like Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson games. You see those spreads for that. I don't expect that to happen in the NFL.
Dude,
it's hard enough. It's hard enough to look at it and be like, when you see like a 1.5 spread, and it's like, ooh, man, that's a pick 'em almost.
Dude, I would have if this was Florida State and Duke in 1993, 94. I probably would have had to think about that. I never would have thought that any pro team would have lost by 37 points at home.
I think the game that came to mind, and I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was the Patriots. I want to say it was either Buffalo or I want to say it was Buffalo. It might have been Tennessee or the Jets. For some reason, I can't remember. It was years ago. It was like maybe 8-10 years ago, and it was in a complete blizzard, snow, whiteout. And I know it was the Patriots. I don't remember who they were playing, but whoever the hell they were playing, it was like 60-something to 7 at one point. And I'm like, good God, that's a pro game? Like, this is what that game reminded me of. I flashed back to that, and I'm like, I had never thought I'd see another game that lopsided, but clearly I'm mistaken. But just a few more things on
59-0. Oh, that was 19.
Yeah.
Wait, they played the Titans.
Is that who it was? Okay.
Yeah.
It was the Patriots, though, wasn't it?
Patriots, Titans.
What year?
God, dog. Jamie, pull that up. 2009.
Okay. All right. I knew it was.
Snowy. It was cold.
Yeah.
Woo,
where was that at? Was it at Gillette or Buffalo?
Tennessee. So that would have had.
Or it would have had to have been Gillette then.
Yeah.
All right.
Holy shit!
I remember that game.
Threw 5 touchdowns in the second quarter.
Yeah.
Man, that was before Giselle was banging all the Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys. He was getting that good.
Yeah.
Woo, damn.
But yeah, this game reminded me of that game all over again. And I'm like, I never thought I would see a game like that again, but holy crap. Damn. But we'll touch on this in a little bit when we talk about studs and duds. But Pollard, how much longer do we do we think that Dallas is going to keep trying to pay Zeke? Because I'm going to be honest, Zeke has been inactive, even though he's been active on a few certain individuals' rosters, fantasy-wise. On the field, he's been inactive, and Dallas hasn't really looked like they've missed a beat. So is he really that valuable to them at this point? Like, I feel like they could cut ties with him if it wasn't for the financial repercussions, and I don't feel like they would be hurting at all. Like, Pollard is an animal.
Do you know how I know Ezekiel Elliott has, maybe not what he's getting paid right now, but do you know how I know he's got an exceptional amount of value left in the current NFL? Latavius Murray is the number one running back on an NFL roster right now.
Yeah,
well, Kenyon Drake is the number one NFL running back right now. Okay, listen, holy shit! I don't know how we got here. God. Yeah,
I think
he's not number one in Dallas. Pollard has supplanted him. He's number one, but just seeing what else is out there, dude.
But here's the thing, though. Zeke has always been run heavy. He doesn't really do a lot of passing work, does he?
No, he doesn't need to. He's over there.
I mean, if anything, I've only seen him like screen passes and stuff, maybe. But Pollard is like the complete package. Like that one pass.
Different. Pollard's a little guy though. He's
fast.
He's a little light in the ass.
He's fast. He's not the power runner that Zeke is. So I almost wonder if they start doing the same thing that the Giants did back in the Brandon Jacobs and Bradshaw days, where Pollard runs down the field, and then when you're at first and goal on the 2-yard line, you put Zeke in there to punch it in. Like, I wonder if they're going to do that, because then you can save a little bit of wear and tear on Zeke, because Zeke's kind of been injury prone the last couple of years.
Don't sell Ward short. Back in those Giants days, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I was an Earth fan. I'm Team Brandon Jacobs all the way, baby.
I hated that whole freaking era. That era can kiss my ass.
You would. Earth, Wind, and Fire, baby.
That and the Steelers era with Mike Wallace and Antonio Brown, that pissed me off too, because no matter who I drafted, the other guy blew up. I drafted Ahmad Bradshaw, and Brandon Jacobs got all the goal line carries. So Bradshaw would get 90 yards, and then Jacobs would get a 10-yard touchdown. I'm like, God damn it. Same thing. Mike Wallace would go, 80-some yards, and then Antonio Brown would get a 20-yard touchdown. So the next year I would draft the opposite guy, and then the other one would blow up. Like, all right, I'm done with you two. Done with you two teams. I'm not touching anybody. But,
But that was Derek Ward to me love.
Well,
you got to give Wind his love, baby.
If you had
Derek Ward.
If you had Ward on your bingo card, go ahead and place a marker there. That's right. Not something I was expecting to come up in this podcast.
I didn't expect to hear Ahmad Bradshaw's name either, but shit, here we are.
Yeah, exactly.
I sold it. I did have a Brandon Jacobs jersey. That dude was a monster. Cheers.
From New York or from San Fran?
Oh baby, I'm a G-man all the way through.
Where else did
Jarrett? Let it be known here. You may have done a lot of campaigning early on in this podcast infancy, but at my core, at the heart of what is this guy? I'm a Giants fan. I'm a Giants.
Where else did Bradshaw play? I know he played with the Giants for the longest time, the majority, and I know he played with Indy just a little bit. Did he play anywhere else? I don't really remember him playing anywhere else.
That's a good question.
Jamie,
honestly, yeah. God, he's taking a piss break. This guy's had
he's been taking a piss break he's been taking a piss break since episode 1.
2 White Claws and this guy's he's in the toilet the whole time. It's sort of sad.
He's incapacitated again.
We got to find a new guy.
Do we have to stick with Jamie?
We can probably upgrade.
Can we go with Jake?
Probably his contract's coming due.
I don't think we could afford him.
No, Ahmad Bradshaw did play with the Colts too at some point.
Yeah, I remember him playing with the Colts. I actually think I had him in fantasy, and he saved my ass the one year, because I think whoever I had went down, and I picked him up.
Yeah, he was Wind of your Earth, Wind, and Fire trio.
Yeah, but we'll end with the last the game in Mexico. Or not the
They say it's more of
Sunday night.
More the altitude than more the elevation than the altitude. So I was a little surprised at the broadcast how they mentioned altitude, Because technically, elevation and altitude are completely different. We'll have to get our,
you would think.
Philosophers.
But, hey, we're not getting paid to do science on the broadcast here. We're getting paid to break down football. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, the game is what it was. I mean, when you look at
Mexican at the beginning of the game was pretty fucking excited though. We should get him on sometime. Jesus Christ!
Did you catch the halftime show? Good Lord!
No,
Good Lord!
I was having a margarita.
Yeah, I don't know. It was very odd because they almost had the halftime show / stage like built into the stands. It was just it was very weird. It was very odd, but whatever. It is what it is. Again, the Niners kind of show up and blow out just kind of like we expected, just kind of what they're expected to do is what happened. And I don't think anybody was really surprised by it.
I mean, probably not the other half of this podcast that predicted the Niners to, fight for the NFC crown, but I wasn't too surprised. I wasn't even excited. I was just bored.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I watched the first half and it was kind of like, well, if this is how the second half's going to go, I can see how this game's going to get out of control real quick.
I mean, I like Colt McCoy as much as the next guy, but
he just that Arizona team is just a complete.
They're not great. Don't you dare say dumpster. Oh God,
it's a complete clusterfuck.
Like I don't know what's going on. I had to take another shot.
I don't know what's going on with them because they have some talent. It's just no one's on the same page. Kyler, he's trying to get his kill streaks up. I don't know what's going on,
baby. I'm a Call of Duty fan.
I just don't know what's going on with them. Like he's thinking that he knows the play calls better than the coach, and I don't know. I don't know what to think of that team. I almost feel bad for Hopkins because I feel like he's the one and only one on that team now with Ertz out that really has any talent and nobody to get the ball to him consistently. I'll put it that way.
There's problems when, first of all, you got Colt McCoy starting for you now. You got Eno. You literally cut Eno Benjamin from the roster, and I think they cut him. I think they actually gave him a cut, an actual paper cut, between the webbing of his third and fourth finger. I think I read somewhere. But so they got rid of Eno Benjamin, who was, that guy was a spark, man. When Connor was out, he was pissed because he was irritated with his diminished role in that ever so superior offense. Good for him. Good for Benjamin getting out of that shithole. Unfortunately,
I can't imagine he's mad.
God, yeah. Unfortunately, the shitty Texans had a waiver priority. They claimed him.
So who's the better team? Who's the better team for him overall, Houston or Arizona? I think, unfortunately, I would have rather stayed in Arizona.
I'm pretty sure. I think I saw that the Chiefs also put in a waiver claim for Eno Benjamin.
Of course they would,
but they got beaten out because the Texans had priority.
Well, I got something. We'll talk about the Chiefs here in just a second, but I got something on that. But anyway, go ahead.
The Cardinals are just a huge disappointment. I think everybody expected more out of them. I am, sadly enough, Zach Ertz, love him. I've owned him before. I've owned shares of him in fantasy leagues. It's unfortunate that he got hurt. He started the season off, actually. He was banged up, which is why in all my best ball leagues I drafted Trey McBride.
Well, didn't he have something lingering from last year?
Now. Yeah,
exactly. Didn't Ertz had something lingering from last year, I thought.
Yes, that's the whole reason I grabbed Trey McBride in every best ball league I could find. And that's actually going to pay off for me now. So thank you for my other sponsor, Thrive Fantasy.
I feel bad for JJ because JJ's been beat up and he's been through the ringer as far as injury wise, but he's got to be so damn pissed because he's like he would go exactly. Yeah. And he's the one and only person at Houston for the most part. And then he leaves and he goes to Arizona. He's going to be this big, superstar there. He gets injured. He comes back. He basically defied all odds. He's done for the year. And he comes back in 6 weeks or something crazy. And he's leaving it all on the field, doing everything to possibly get out there. And then you got guys out there that just don't look like they care to be out there. That's got to be so frustrating.
Yeah, and they just lost Rondale Moore.
Is he done?
On offense. He's out. I don't know how long he's going to be out.
Well, because I have him on
IR. Shit, I think they said they plan on him going to the IR. Yeah.
Well, I know he had a groin injury, but I didn't see what the extent of it was. But I do have him on my roster. So with that being said, yeah, he'll be on IR, just like the rest of my team. So that should work out well.
Yeah, you're like the goddamn. You and Dusty are the Grim Reapers. Man.
Anybody on my team, don't touch them in fantasy because it's going to be bad luck. We'll just put that out there. If you guys want, I'll post my team on social media. You guys just look at who I have. Don't touch them. Pick everybody else.
Stay away. They've been tainted.
Yes.
Can't
But
wash that off.
we'll finish up here with the Chiefs game. I wasn't even surprised. Like, I'm not even surprised at this point. You know, the commentators get all excited. They're like, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes, he's going to come from behind. Can he get it done?" Like, I'm not even surprised. Like, it's almost like watching a movie that you already saw the spoiler and you already know how it ends. Like, essentially, that's what I feel like every single game. They could be down by 22 points with 8 minutes left, and it's like, oh, so they're going to win. They're going to put up 24 here and win by 2. Like, every game.
Roger Goodell's got a bunch of good writers.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what it seems like at this point for as often as it happens. But I say
James
this every
Patterson writing these goddamn Chiefs endings.
Yeah, I say this every week. I don't know how many more times that the Chiefs can, pull this off and pull out a win, and yet every week it happens. It's not even like it happens a few times a year. It's every damn week. I mean, they were down significant, not the most they've ever been down, but again, they were down pretty deep, and they came back and pulled out the win with, what was it, like a minute 30 or something like that when they got the ball, and they just had no problem going right down the field, Travis Kelce, nobody touching him. And, get the last second touchdown, pull out the win, like normal. But the thing that I took from that game, and this is what I said just a little bit ago. I tried to grab him on waivers because God knows I need all the help I can get, but I got outbid the one game, or the 1 week I actually won. I had a higher waiver or a lower waiver priority, so I got outbid. But Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah. He looks
holy shit.
He wears the same number as a guy who used to play in KC, who's now down there in South Beach. He looks like him, but at running back.
He is phenomenal, like unbelievable. And with the same scenario that's going on in Dallas, with Pollard being just unbelievable and the jack of all trades, how long is it going to take before CEH is out, if he's not already?
If it wasn't for all these other quality running backs like Darrell Henderson and Melvin Gordon getting cut, holy shit! You might as well cut Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You may as well cut him.
He had so much hype when he first came out, and he didn't pan up to it at all. And I feel like he fell short. And then I feel like he's always injured, like all the time. I feel like, I don't know. I'm not a Chiefs fan, so I don't follow him that heavily. But I feel like
lived up to the hype at all.
No, I just feel like from fantasy
coming
wise,
out of LSU,
everyone's always talking how disappointing he is, and then the fact that he's supposed to be this next big break, and then you got Jerick McKinnon taking snaps from him. And like that guy's been a journeyman running back for how many years? I don't even know all the teams he's been with. I know he was with Minnesota for a while, but even him, he's a backup and he's taking spots from him. I don't see how they move away from Pacheco. Like he's too valuable. He's too versatile.
He looks like Tyreek Hill at running back.
He seems a little bit smaller than CEH, but my God, for as fast as he is, I'll take it. But that whole team is fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a track meet when you get on the field with them.
I grabbed him in my other leagues of fantasy that he was actually available a couple weeks ago.
I don't know if it was
I'm
Dusty.
Playing him. He's cemented my rosters.
I don't know if it was Dusty or if it was Adam in our league, but they snagged him one waiver claim above me, and I'm like, crap. That could have been that could be a make or break fantasy winner this year, in my opinion. If you snag him Again, it's hard to project that because he is with the Chiefs, and God knows everybody gets a freaking ton of It could be Travis Kelce getting 7 touchdowns and 6 yards 1 week, or it could be Pacheco, ripping off 150 yards 1 week. You just never know. But I don't see how they don't keep him involved in the game plan.
Yeah, I'm just gonna look up and see who's got him in the league that you and I are in here. I'm gonna.
Did somebody drop him?
I'm going to take a look here.
Did somebody drop him?
Jamie, take a look. Who's got that guy for? Oh, here he is.
Who dropped him? Somebody picked him up and then they dropped him.
I don't know, Jared, but I'm pretty sure I own him across the board. I own him in both my Yahoo leagues.
Because I know I ended up getting mad because whoever I got outbid on waivers, I think it was Adam or Dusty, picked him up, and then they dropped him. No, somebody else had him first, and then they dropped him. And I couldn't pick him up that week because I had too many guys on a bye, and I needed somebody that was going to play. So I couldn't pick him up that week, but my God, it pissed me off.
I'm looking.
But anyway, while you're doing that,
we'll put Jamie on the...
We'll put a pin in that, and we'll move on to some breaking news. So just this past week, we had the once voted dirtiest player of the league, Dominican Sue, signed with Philly for a 1-year deal. And he got signed, and 4 days later suited up and made an impact with Philly. I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, that defense can use all the help they can get if they're going to play like they did this past week.
As I told you in our off-the-air text, and Dominican who? Fuck that guy. He hasn't been relevant 8 years. Fuck him.
Well, I'll tell you what. They're playing Green Bay this week. So what the heck is that noise?
That would be the Australian Shepherd burnt. Nope, that's my Bernese Mountain Dog. Oh. That's my Bernese Mountain Dog. She's hunkering down for a long winter. She's
I just hear something in the background. I was like, what is going on? That's either awfully loud typing or there is somebody in the background coding.
Is that Jamie? She's getting her drink on. She usually drinks water once a week, and she chose
today,
Wednesday morning at 12:33 a.m.
I mean, I can't think of a better time. But, yeah, so we had Sue to Philly, so, whatever. But it's obviously going to be a big he'll have a big impact, and we'll revisit this next week. He'll have a big impact, I guarantee it, this week, because he's playing Rodgers, and he's got a history with Rodgers. Rodgers doesn't like him. He hates Rodgers. He's played Rodgers numerous times, being when he was with Detroit and then again when he was in Tampa. They don't like each other, so I can guarantee he'll probably have a pretty big day, and something dirty will happen or something will be said.
You know what I hope dirty happens? I hope number 12 fires about 6 balls right into his fleshy void where his testicles should be. Fuck that guy. I cannot stand Sue. God, what a little bitch.
That makes two of us. I hated him all the way back when him and Cliff Averill were running that defense, and that Keebler Elf Schwartz was the coach, and they would go 4-0, and everybody would, oh my God, we're gonna win, and then they lose the next 7 in a row. But the fact that when he started stepping on people and kicking people and grabbing people by the helmet and swinging them around like rag dolls, and it's just like there's no reason for that crap. And he was always innocent. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he dirty.
I've never cared for him.
He's irrelevant.
But on a sad note, as far as fantasy goes, and he was looking really good. Kyle Pitts, the Atlanta tight end.
He was looking really good at Florida.
Yeah. Is done with a torn MCL.
Thank God. You know why I love that? I don't like injuries usually, but I do have a share of him in one of my leagues. And I can finally breathe a huge sigh of relief as I drop his ass to the waiver wire. Because I had him. Fuck that guy.
I had him last year, and he did jack squat last year with Matt Ryan. He didn't even have any real huge positive games last year, I don't feel like. And then this year, he had a couple games where he, had a little bit better progress. I
don't even know about that.
I don't know. I don't know what to think of him. I mean, you went from a dinosaur of Matt Ryan who can't move to Mariota, who's not accurate. So I don't know. Hopefully when he comes back, he'll have another quarterback thrown to him.
I don't want any piece of that Atlanta offense. Terrible.
No, I don't either. But we'll move on to the last breaking news that I kind of came across here, and we already kind of mentioned it earlier. Melvin Gordon, the fumble master himself, was waived by Denver. Of course,
it's a mercy killing. Thank God.
This would have been great for me, considering I had Javonte Williams earlier. that would have been perfect timing for me because then I would have had a true number one starter instead of this 50-50 down the exact middle. But of course, he got hurt way early, and so that does nothing for me at this point. But the thing that I thought was most interesting is the fact that they finally got fed up, pulled the trigger, and was like, you know what, we're done. Melvin Gordon, you just fumbled one too many times. We got to let you go. So they let him go. And now Chase Edmonds has a high ankle sprain, and he's out a few weeks. Your other starter, which I just mentioned, Javonte Williams, he's out for the year with a knee injury. Yeah. So who is your running back now? The guy that was selling insurance previously, Latavius Murray.
Pay here car. Yeah. Latavius Murray. It's an 88 Buick. It's a strong runner. It's got 368,000 miles on it. It'll be great.
It just blows me away how they went from at one point having like 4 running backs down to 1 running back. Like, I don't even know, do they even have another running back? I'm sure they do have another running back on their roster.
Marlon Mack, yeah.
I didn't think they signed him. I knew they tried him out, but did they?
They got Marlon Mack, yeah.
Okay, so we have the all-star running backs from 8 years ago.
The guy who couldn't do anything in Indy to get any carries away from Naeem Hines, who's been setting the world on fire in Buff. Oh no, never mind. No, he hasn't done shit. Yeah, so you got Marlon Mack and Latavius Murray,
and the guy who couldn't seal up the number 1 job in Minnesota, New Orleans. So
he does a mean Subway commercial.
So you went from
giving you the ball.
So you went from an exact 50-50 down the middle split to now having 1 and 2 backup running backs who haven't even played 50% of their snaps. Denver's such a dumpster. They're so bad.
Things aren't exactly going as planned out there at the Mile High City because
they're regretting paying the $250 to their Let's Ride Team 3. They want Hackett's head on a pike already. You have no running backs. Judy's been beat up all year. What was it? Tim Patrick, I think, got hurt. Was it preseason or was it the training camp? He was hurt. You have Cortland Sutton. You traded away Bradley Chubb.
The lone bright spot.
Yeah, you traded away Chubb. Like, who in God's name do you even have that's worth a damn on that team at this point? You have nobody.
I'll tell you right now, if I'm Pat Surtain, I'm Patrick Surtain the second.
I'm refusing to come. I am holding out in the middle of the season, and I want to trade. I know it's past the trade block, it's past the trade window, but God, get me off this team.
Yeah, I'd be looking for. Oh my God, asylum somewhere else.
I've never seen such an inept team, and this is also coming from the same league that we got to see the Urban Meyer experience in Jacksonville last year. We got to see the 0-16 Detroit Lions. We got to see the 0-16 Cleveland Browns. We got to see the Houston Texans. Like, Denver looks worse than any of those right now.
I can't believe they've won 3 games. I'm not gonna lie. Like, honest to God, that division's so bad.
Well, no, they're bad. It's not the whole division.
I'm not a Chiefs fan. That division sucks. I hate the Raiders. The Chargers
I'm just really shocked at how bad the Raiders are. Like, they had a lot of talent. I was expecting them to actually I was expecting them to split with the Chiefs and actually, make a run at second place. It reminds me of the NFC North. It's the Chiefs and everybody else.
And then the Chiefs play the Bills, and all of a sudden they look like the Vikings and the Cowboys. It's like, oh my God, what happened?
At this point, when I said the Dolphins and the Vikings in the championship games, I don't even know at this point. Like, all the teams that you think are going to run away with it and have head and shoulders, so much better talent, I don't even know what to expect at this point. Like, every week is a complete.
We may need to roll back the tape. Who did I pick in the AFC? Did I pick Chiefs, Bills?
You said Chiefs. I don't remember if you said Bills or not.
I almost think I had to have.
I think you did.
I don't know who else I would have said.
I think I said Chiefs, Dolphins. I think you said Chiefs, Bills.
I think you may have picked the Dolphins.
I know I picked the Dolphins. I do know that. I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue anymore. Things
Chiefs,
are off
Bills
the
makes
rails.
sense. The NFL's such a fickle beast. Each week it's like, what in the hell is happening?
Yeah. Well, with that being said, let's bring up the studs and duds here real quick, and then we'll call it a night. So, looking at the studs first, for the Commissioner's Cup, we had options of Tony Pollard, Kelsey, Devontae Adams, or Jamal Williams. Now, granted, they all had really good games, which, Travis Kelsey, that's kind of a norm for him. So I had no interest in voting for that. Devontae Adams, he was a bright star on the rest of that dumpster team. But again, he's had good games in the past. Jamal Williams, he had like 60, 70 some yards, but he had 3 touchdowns. But again, he's a touchdown dependent player.
He's a
this
vulture,
year.
Man. That dude's all.
He's the Brandon.
He is a vulture.
He's the Brandon Jacobs of that team.
Plus, Swift's been hurt, so.
But I went with Tony Pollard for obvious reasons. The guy had
sure.
almost 200 yards of their total offense himself and a couple of touchdowns. Sorry. I mean, Devontae Adams had 140 some yards just receiving. He didn't run any. And then you had Travis Kelsey. He didn't run any. And then you had Jamal Williams. He didn't really do a whole lot of catching. Tony Pollard was all over the field in various spots. So head and shoulders for me, it was Tony Pollard. Like, I don't see any way to dispute that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I voted Pollard too. The only guy there weren't any quarterbacks who actually had more Commissioner's Cup standard fantasy scoring. Burrow and Mahomes did score more than Adams and Jamal Williams, but they're quarterbacks and they couldn't even crack 30.
If Tony Pollard wouldn't have been on there, which took, obviously majority of the attention, I think something could be said for Pachenko just because he just came out of nowhere, but I don't think he scored any touchdowns. So that, I feel like what could have held him back.
The other guy that obviously nobody was playing because nobody expected Joe Mixon to get concussed, Samaje Perine. Yeah, he ended up with his 3 touchdowns.
I was going to say, he had 3 or something. He's making a run at that 5 for Mixon.
Yeah, all of a sudden I'll take the Cincinnati Bengals backfield for 300, Alex. Holy shit.
But we'll end with this. Going to the duds, we had Vikings defense, Rondale Moore, Graham Gano, and Kadarius Toney. I don't know about Gano. What was up with him?
Bagel.
Did he get
donut.
Hurt? Did he get hurt, or he just didn't get an opportunity?
Dude, listen to me. I almost voted for Graham Gano. Not because I owned him this week in fantasy, but because the dude missed 2 extra points.
Huh. All right.
Not only did he not get any field goals, I don't even know if he had a field goal attempt, but I literally watched his ass miss 2 extra points. And don't give me any bullshit about them moving the extra points back. You missed 2 extra points, dude.
See, that's what I wasn't sure what was going on with him because I don't have any shares of him and I don't follow him really at all. I knew Rondale Moore got hurt and he left early in the game. And then Kadarius Toney, he got hurt early in the game too, I believe, and he left. So, I mean, I knew I was expecting them to have low numbers.
Moore was in the negatives, which is why he definitely earned a spot.
Trust me, I know. He was on my starting roster.
Yeah, there you go.
Having like negative 0.6 or 1.6, whatever the hell he ended up with. Yeah, I
negative
wasn't
0.7. Yeah,
I would have been better off leaving that spot empty. I would have gained points. But I voted for the Vikings defense. When you're a pro team and you get steamrolled by that many points at home, like. Yeah, you deserve to be the stud or the dud, hands down. Like, it's not even a discussion.
It cost you 4 points.
Yeah. Well, when you look at it, when you look at it, the Vikings defense cost you 4, and Rondale Moore only cost you less than a point. So when the math works out the way it is, it's Vikings defense for me all day.
It was real hard for me not taking Gano, missing 2 extra points, not even earning a point, but I did ultimately go with Vikings because
even if you miss the extra points, Gano's not going to get you negative points.
I know that's the only thing.
It's virtually impossible for a kicker to get you negative points, whereas a defense hurts you.
I had to set my own personal bias aside, and I'm a consummate professional, so of course I did that. I'm also slappy drunk.
Well, before Todd has his bi-weekly meltdown, I don't have anything else. You got anything?
No, just don't forget to rate, review, whatever the hell we do. Don't forget to support our
we're rating now.
rate, review, subscribe.
Vikings were rating.
Check the alert status, and don't forget to support our OnlyFans account.
Did Jamie set that up?
Don't you worry about that.
Oh boy, what you do in your free time is your business. I'll stay out of it.
The express written consents.
That'll wrap up another episode here of the fifth quarter sportscast. As Todd said, I guess you could raid, but download, subscribe, rate, review, all that fun stuff. You want to hit us up? Yeah, you want to hit us up? Follow us on social media. I guess Todd has an OnlyFans. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, fifth Q Sportscast, 5THQ Sportscast. We'll touch on some Week 12 NFL action next week, but until then, go enjoy some football, enjoy some food, family, friends, hang out, have a good Thanksgiving, and we'll catch you guys here next week.
As I was walking up the stairs, I met a man who wasn't there. He wasn't there again today. I wish he'd go away.